Cullen goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
All right, I'm officially a nervous wreck. I was really holding out. I was even sending emails to one of you, who will go unnamed, trying to talk him off the ledge, saying, relax. If you look at the polls, this, that, and the other thing, you can't just look at the raw numbers. But I got to say, this Pennsylvania is back in toss-up. We were written off. We're back into a toss-up category. Bob Casey is literally neck and neck with this idiot Smith, who's running against him. I shouldn't call the man an idiot, but is he the one? I think he is running the ad, or maybe he's not. Oh, maybe he is. You know, they go in one ear and out the other, and you just want to scream. It's almost as though when they put these ads up, they're asking you to hate their guts. That's sort of the result. Is he the one who says, and if I go to Washington, I'll make sure that blah, 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 or else the Congress won't get paid? Well, I can't even remember what it was. If they don't do this, then they don't get paid. I mean, does anybody fall for that crap? Like, oh, well, then I'm voting for him. I bet people do. As if any member of Congress would vote not to pay themselves. Excuse me. And if there were a few since many of them are gazillionaires, if there were a few willing to make such a political posture point, there'd be many more who would not. I mean, you say things like that, and numbskulls sitting in their living rooms say, "Oh man, did you hear that? They're not going to pay. We got to vote for him. He's not going to pay these guys." Oh God. Okay, so it's tight. I was talking to my mother last night, and she said, I've decided that Obama was so awful in that first debate because you know what? He knows too much. And what she meant is he knows how screwed up, she wouldn't say fucked up, how awful things really are. And it creates in him a weariness, an ambivalence about whether he even wants to do this for 4 more years. And I said, that I wouldn't be surprised if a human being would react that way. You stop and think what presidents do know that we don't. It is true, we don't know a lot. And also, I don't know, you do wonder why he didn't show up last time. And I couldn't stop thinking about what she said, that there was, a measure of weariness and ambivalence that showed itself. I don't know that I've heard anybody else say that. But he's a guy who doesn't like to lose, so methinks tonight he will be showing up with the proper attitude, the one expected of him. But there needn't have been so much riding on it. Never before, as far as I know, has one debate so turned things around in a presidential campaign, especially with the incumbent just crashing and burning like that. And not because he made some unbelievable gaffe. He didn't make a gaffe. It was just that you looked at him and you thought, he doesn't want to be president. Or he doesn't want to fight. Or whatever. It was a negative, a negative, a negative. And I'm wondering, really, what is that? What was that, do you suppose? My mom got me thinking. I wonder. If that same guy, for some reason, and it won't happen, would show up tonight, it would be over. Because Americans obviously want somebody who looks like they want the job. But, so, we'll just have to wait and see how he performs. Now, all these polls are telling us all kinds of things that make us very nervous. Well, I don't want to include you. For all I know, you're stoic as hell, and you're not even looking anymore, which seems like a wise thing to do, too. Did I say hello? Hello. It's October 16th. Oh, and it's a Tuesday, but my sister is not able to be with us today. I hope that she'll be able to be with us next Tuesday. Coming in the second half hour will be one of Pittsburgh's better-known bloggers, and that is David DeAngelo of, half of Two Political Junkies, which if you don't read it, you should. It's a dang good blog. That's the numeral 2, politicaljunkies.blogspot.com, or just Google it and it comes up. Little smidge of good news. There have been a few newspapers. Newspapers are already making endorsements. There have been a few newspapers in unlikely places, like red states, who endorsed John McCain 4 years ago, who are now endorsing Barack Obama. And I find that very interesting. One is the Winston-Salem Journal. That would obviously be in Winston-Salem. And let me tell you a little bit of what they said. And as I said, they did not endorse Barack Obama 4 years ago. This year they do, and they say this in part in explanation of their endorsement. He is calm under pressure and courageous in standing up for the rights of all Americans, including the poor, veterans, the elderly, women, gays, and immigrants. In contrast, we've sometimes found it hard in the last few weeks to tell just what Obama's challenger, Mitt Romney, really stands for. Romney's policies actually warmed over trickle-down economics will make matters worse. Romney's plans are ever-changing, and it's hard to know just where his policies would end and those of the much more conservative Ryan would begin. And then I'm just dipping out little things here. And then another thing back to Obama. Their endorsement said Obama and Vice President Joe Biden form a seasoned, consistent ticket, one much more promising and reliable than that of Romney and his running mate, Representative Paul Ryan of Wisconsin. So, you know, if it makes you feel better. So, and speaking of Ryan, did you see the pictures of him washing dishes the other day in a soup kitchen? No? Yeah, he was with his wife. They were both, scrubbing away. He had an apron on, and he's squeezing some soap onto a sponge or something. He is working at that sink in a soup kitchen to show he has heart, to show he's not above it all. That picture was ran all over newspapers all over the place. This, of course, was in Ohio, where Romney and Ryan practically live now. However, this was in Mahoning County. The head of the soup kitchen, well, the institution that runs the soup kitchen is St. Vincent de Paul Society, which you know, in Youngstown. And the president of that particular St. Vincent de Paul Society in Youngstown said they showed up and they didn't have permission from us. They got one of the volunteers to open up the doors. And the photo op they did wasn't even accurate. He did nothing. He just came in here to get his picture taken. He put on an apron. He cleaned some large metal pots. And guess what? Those pots were not dirty. They just gave him some pots and said, hey, here, look like you're washing these. And the soup kitchen was not even open. It had closed for the day. So the operator of the soup kitchen was furious that his place had been used in this political manner, and especially because of that, because he said, hey, look, we are a nonprofit organization. It is strictly in our bylaws not to be political, appearing to favor one candidate over another. And he was obviously enraged that the campaign just sort of shows up without even calling and, strong arms their way past a volunteer, puts him in an apron because they needed this picture, I guess, or thought they did. Unbelievable. Or not. I mean, I say every time I do that, I say to myself, unbelievable. And then I think, no, it's not. No, it's not. We're talking about politics in America. This is a Reuters piece today. The United States Senate race in Pennsylvania has become too close to call. While President Obama's lead in Pennsylvania has slipped from 12 to 4 percentage points. That is just since that debate. since his no-show at the debate. The Onion, by the way, has a funny headline and an article that goes with it saying something about, like, Obama excited for first debate. Oh, God, laugh till you cry. I'm telling you, laugh till you cry. The people who appear to be hemorrhaging out of the Obama column in Pennsylvania are Catholics and white blue-collar workers. And this is a Quinnipiac poll. This is a legitimate poll. Casey is obviously vulnerable. I mean, he's running against a guy who nobody even heard of, with a name that is immemorable because it is so Tom Smith. He's running against Tom Smith, a former, seen the ads. He was a coal miner. And then I think in that one ad, they say he was a coal miner, and then he went on to become the head of his own coal mine so he could help other... So it doesn't say something like, so he could help other people get... In other words, he went from a coal miner to a coal mine owner simply because he had an altruistic need to create jobs for people. I swear. I mean, they don't say that, but that's exactly well, I think they almost do say something like that. And there are a number of Smith ads that I just I start laughing at. That would be one, that anybody starts a business out of altruism. People start businesses because they think they can make money. It doesn't have to do with, I could perhaps create a business and then be able to give jobs for all of my neighbors and people that I do not even know. That's not why people take entrepreneurial risks. It's very unusual for somebody to start as a coal miner and end up as a coal mine owner. I would be more interested in seeing that story fleshed out, frankly. Wouldn't you? Because that to me is an impressive thing. I don't think we usually look at, coal miners as an entry-level position, and if you just work really hard down there in the coal mine, you too can be in the CEO someday. I don't think that's the way most people think of the mining industry functioning. So it would be interesting. I see David DeAngelo is here. We'll see him in about 10 minutes. I'm going to go tell him. What?
I'm going to say
10. Okay, thanks, Jess. So, I don't know. Smith's got a ton of dough, and he is spending it. He's spending it much more than Casey is spending it. And I must say that Casey, it's not easy as a Democrat to get excited, or a Democratic woman to get excited about Bob Casey. I'm sorry. I have a lot of trouble. I think I know him. He's a nice guy. But, many of his positions are Republican positions. Phwee. Hello there.
How you doing, Lynn?
I'm okay.
Hey, I think Romney in this debate, he gained some ground short term, but I think in the long term and at the end, the lies that he said on stage are going to be picked apart and dissected by Obama and the ads and stuff, and I think it's going to all come around. Even I've listened to Bob Shrum on television. He's even saying that. And another thing, I don't think these damn polls you can't rely on them. I think there's a lot of screw-ups on these polls, and I'm not sure if somebody's pressuring somebody or what, but if you watch the polls, they change so damn drastically. I mean, after one debate, the guy screwed up so much in the primaries, I don't get it. How could they change that fast?
Well,
have a good day. Goodbye.
Okay, goodbye. That's our perennially optimistic caller. Sounding a little Republicanish. If you don't like the polls, then suggest that they're cooked in some way. We love them when they show our guy ahead. And when it's interesting because you have to ask these Republican voters who are saying that the polls were cooked. Now that the polls are showing their guy coming on, what do they think happened? The same chefs who were cooking them up for Obama all of a sudden decide to cook it up in the other direction. I mean, come on. Stella writes, one of the most distasteful parts of the Obama campaign is his deputy campaign manager. That's Stephanie Cutter. She's distasteful. I think she was very upset about the results of the first debate. This could result in a very ugly debate tonight. And that might actually turn more people away. Oh, yes, if Obama dares to appear to be an aggressive and or angry black man. You see the box he gets put in? If a white guy comes out aggressively, he's presidential. He's a leader. Takes no prisoners. And if a black man does the same thing, he's what? Threatening? Scary? I guess. So what the hell is he supposed to do? He's got to figure out that line. What is he allowed to do, say, look like? It's somewhere in between Stokely Carmichael and Step and Fetch It. Insanity. Yeah, let's elect these Republicans, and they're enablers like the American Family Association. Have you seen what they're up to now? They're staging a boycott of schools in Florida because the school has something called Mix It Up at Lunch Day, where they tell the students, sit next to somebody you don't normally sit next to. Get to know people in another group. And this is an effort to tamp down bullying, and maybe, it's laudable, I think. Well, the American Family Association has suggested that it is part of the homosexual agenda. They are so repulsive. They are so repulsive. And in fact, the Southern Poverty Law Center, that monitors hate groups, has decided finally they're going to put the American Family Association on their list. There they are, along with the KKK and the skinheads and all those other folks. Because it is true. They think they teach family values and Christian values. Last time I looked, I don't think Jesus would suggest that hate was a family value, or bullying gay kids was a family value. Jesus. Okie doke, guys. There's no easy way to segue to where I'm about to go. But as you know, I like to remind us every once in a while that we're in a war. Maybe that subject will come up in the debate tonight, that we are a nation at war. Even though, of course, Mitt Romney never mentioned that in his acceptance speech at the Republican convention. Can you imagine? You want to be the president of a nation that is, in fact, at war. And it never crosses your mind? That, to me, is just mind-boggling. It did come up in the vice presidential debate, as you know, and it seemed like Paul Ryan wanted us to stay there and go into send American troops into the nastier parts. This is one of the places where Biden really wiped the floor with him, frankly. But we're in a war. We're in the longest war. That's the longest war. You know what war we're in, guys? Do you know? Do you even know where we're at war? Look at the paper today. I bet if we're in a war, there must be some story about it. No? There's no story about it? No, probably not. And I could probably say that on any day of the week. Less than 1% of our American population has served in this war. And that's one of the reasons the 99, and here's where you end up in the 99%. The 99% don't think about it because they don't have anything to do with it. They aren't dying. Their sons and daughters aren't coming home with half a brain or no legs. It's so easy to be at war when it doesn't require a damn minute of your consciousness. So because I like to remind you every once in a while, and I keep these little scraps of paper, and then when they get a little too big, I do what I'm about to do. And this is what anybody who's been listening to me for, what is it now? 12 years would know. I do this. I read the names of Americans whose families know there's a war. Believe me, they know. Because they're burying their sons and daughters, their sisters and brothers, their husbands, their wives, their friends. The Department of Defense has now identified 2,123 American service members who have died in Afghanistan. These are the most recent Americans who have been identified by the Department of Defense. Robert Billings, age 30, Sergeant, Army, Clarksville, Virginia. Brittany Gordon, 24, Specialist, Army, St. Petersburg, Florida. Joel Del Mundo Tio, 49, Commander, Navy, from Manila, Philippines. Thomas McPherson, 26, Sergeant, Army, Long Beach, California. Ryan Savard, 29, Sergeant, First Class, Army, Sierra Vista, Arizona. Mabry Anders, 21, Specialist, Army, Baker City, Oregon. Christopher Birdwell, 25, Sergeant, Army, Windsor, Colorado. Jessica Wing, 42, Staff Sergeant, Army, Alexandria, Virginia. Camilla Steedley, 31, Sergeant, Marines, San Diego. Louis Torres, 23, Sergeant, Army, Oberlin, Ohio. David Williams, 24, Sergeant, Army, Frederick, Maryland. Justin Marquez, 25, Staff Sergeant, Army, Aberdeen, North Carolina. Joseph Shiro, 27, Warrant Officer, Army, Coral Springs, Florida. Thomas Butler IV, 25, Sergeant, Army, Wilmington, North Carolina. Jonathan Golnitz, 28, Sergeant, Army, Lakehurst, New Jersey. Jeremy Hardison, 23, Sergeant, Army, Maysville, North Carolina. Aaron Henderson, 33, Sergeant, First Class, Army, Holton, Maine. Donna Johnson, 29, Sergeant, Army, Rayford, North Carolina. Daniel Metcalf, 29, Sergeant, First Class, Army, Liverpool, New York. Dion Roberts, 25, gunner's mate, 2nd class, Navy, North Chicago. Orion Sparks, 29, Staff Sergeant, Army, Tucson. Riley Stevens, 39, Sergeant, 1st Class, Army, Tolar, Texas. Gennaro Bedoy, 20, Private, Army, Amarillo, Texas. Joshua Nelson, 22, Specialist, Army, Greenville, North Carolina. Sapuro Nina, 25, Sergeant, Army, Honolulu. Kyle Osborne, 26, Sergeant, Army, Lafayette, Indiana. John Townsend, 19, Private, Army, Claremore, Oklahoma. Bradley Atwell, 27, Sergeant, Marines, Kokomo, Indiana. Christopher Rabel, 40, Lieutenant Colonel, Marines. Jose Montenegro, Jr., 31, Chief Warrant Officer, Houston. Thalia Ramirez, 28, Chief Warrant Officer, Army, San Antonio. Milton Brown, 28, Specialist, Navy, Dallas, Texas. Jason Swindle, 24, Sergeant, Army, Cabot, Arkansas.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Science Center, City Theater, History Museum, Carnegie Museum, and the top Halloween attractions in Pittsburgh. This week, get discounts on gift cards from Little Bangkok and the Strip, Olive Garden, and Nordstrom's. Bergbargains.com. Local deals, local merchants. Bergbargains.com.
In a world where the GOP presidential campaign was mind-numbingly long,
on next election day, you can say no to hope and change and choose a better way.
and the president revealed his true intentions.
If I tax each rich man, oh Solyndra, I could lend you all the cash.
Isn't it nice to know that you can laugh at all of them? Come see the Capitol Steps.
November 4th at the Byham Theater. Tickets on sale at trustarts.org and 412-456-6666.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Yes, and I've been joined. Go ahead if you want. Is the audio level okay there for you, David?
Ja, das ist richtig.
Och, was? Was this?
I was speaking German.
I know. That's why I said was this. Is that German?
No. I'm not sure.
It sounded like German.
Yeah, I had 2 semesters of German in college, so.
Well, isn't was what?
Was?
What?
Das ist richtig. Ja, ja.
Was dies?
Ich heiße David. Wie heißen Sie?
Yeah.
Wie
His
geht's?
name is David, David DeAngelo. And he is half of 2 Political Junkies. So that is a blog. How long you been blogging there with Maria?
Oh, geez. Since 2004, September 2004. It's about 8 years.
Okay. So you were living a perfectly normal existence.
Yeah.
And then
I think
technology allowed you to have this alter
Yes.
ego.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily an alter ego, but initially the idea was we started at the Hansberger blog. Very long time.
That's right.
Yeah,
Oh,
and we did that.
You were talking back to
Fred,
to former and the late Fred Hansberger, who was the biggest loudmouth probably in Pittsburgh radio, and he was a conservative.
Yeah, he was a conservative, and he was on TV, and so at the time I had a lot of free time, and Maria had a lot of free time, and we were calling into his television program, and
that was my television program.
It was.
I inaugurated that program.
Yes, and I think he said that a couple times on the air.
Should have.
And so we came up with the idea of just fact checking him, and every day, and we put a counter on it. And the odd thing was that his radio program started at 3.
Yes.
And just before 3, every day, someone at the CBS, which is KDKA, would check the blog. And then sometime after 6, after his thing, someone would check the blog. So, we knew pretty well that he was aware.
They were watching.
Yeah. And then, Maria can certainly correct me if my details are wrong, but she wanted to branch out and do blog on other stuff other than what Fred had to say. Because if it was a repeat, or if he wasn't on, then what do you do? And so she started the idea of Two Political Junkies, and we just kind of oozed from one place to the other. And that was September 2004. So that was eight years ago.
But it shows how this technology now enables somebody who doesn't have a microphone and a job over at KDKA to have impact, to have a voice, to get your. It's a pretty wondrous thing.
There have been some pretty cool things. What was it, in 2007? The Altmaier campaign invited me to watch his where he would take the oath in D.C.
His swearing in.
Swearing in, yeah. So I was actually in the room when Keith Ellison had his photo op.
The first Muslim to be a congressman.
Had the photo op in the room, and oddly enough, the society hasn't devolved. The conservatives were convinced that once he put his hand on the Quran, which was actually Thomas Jefferson's Quran, that all heck would break loose.
Wait a minute. Ellison took the oath on a Quran that was owned by Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, the oath is in the room itself, the House of Representatives. The photo op is with the speaker or the speaker to be. And there are actually two places. There would be in one side of one room, there'd be, and I think they kind of did it alphabetical or something, where they would set up the next shot with Nancy Pelosi and whoever was taking the oath, and then friends and family. And then while that was being set up, the other photo was being taken. And so Pelosi would just walk from one place to the other. And
it's a finely tuned machine, that Congress.
Yes. Yeah. At least on some places. And so the conservatives were up in arms because here's a guy who's a Muslim, and then he was going to be taking the oath, and oh my God, what's going to happen? And so someone had the idea. They looked in the Library of Congress and found that Jefferson owned a Quran that he had donated to the government, or when his library was sold to the Library of Congress or something.
Hey, David.
Yes.
That makes me think. Can you imagine if somebody discovered that Barack Obama, our current president, owned a Quran?
Odd that you would say that. As part of my blogging, daily blogging, I check out the really wingnut fringe at WorldNet Daily. Have you heard the latest?
Yeah. No.
The latest is his wedding ring. That his wedding ring, he'd been wearing the wedding ring since before when he was married. And it's a traditional, I think, Indonesian design. And they've actually taken little squiggles from pictures that they found and discovered, quote unquote, that if you look at the squiggles in a certain direction, it says "No God but Allah." So it's evidence. Jerome Corsi has evidence that Barack Obama is actually a secret Muslim because of the squiggles on his
wedding ring.
Yeah.
No God but Allah, huh?
Yeah.
Is he the same guy behind if you play what was the Beatles song backwards, you can hear that?
No, that's absolutely true.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there are conspiracies, and then there's actual things. You notice that there's always an earthquake when the shuttle was in orbit. So that's absolutely true.
Lord.
Corsi was one of the. I think he was one of the Swift boat guys.
That is in keeping.
Yeah, and it's at WorldNet Daily, which, if you want to know what the wingnuts are thinking, I mean, far out of the.
Stop and think of some of what is absolute. Accepted by a majority of registered Republicans now, so it's mainstream, would have been considered wingnut territory just 6 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago?
Yeah, and it's something I'd written in. It's kind of faith-based politics because there is no evidence that you can present that will prove the conspiracy wrong, because then it just shows how widespread the conspiracy is. Because if you were to say, because I mean, remember in the 2008 election, there was a lot of criticism over Reverend Wright. Well, that was a Christian church. But you can't use that as evidence, because then it just shows how dishonest he is about presenting himself as a man of faith. Because everyone knows he's a secret Muslim from Kenya, because the birth certificate actually proves it.
And you're right. You cannot argue with someone's faith.
Yeah.
And if that faith becomes their politics, tough. You can't argue.
Yeah, and but sometimes it's funny because. If the Tribune Review doesn't have anything to blog on, or I check out the WorldNet Daily, and there are times where I'm reluctant to mention it because I don't want to be part of extending the.
Well, you are.
Yes, I hang my head in shame.
You're giving them publicity. You're touting for them.
But it's interesting that you pointed out the how the new media can let someone who's completely unqualified for anything like me. To be able to be in the room when Keith Ellison was taking the oath, or at least having the photo up. There is a PodCamp coming up. PodCamp is, I don't know who puts it on. It's at the Point Park College, end of October. And John Delano and I will be having a discussion about new media and old media, how they overlap, how they get their information and stuff. So I just posted that on the blog. I'm not plugging it or anything. I'm just saying. I don't get any money out of it.
No, that's not a plug. He's just saying.
I'm just saying. I'm just bringing it up.
So, let's talk about some of this stuff in the news. So I become I was steadfastly saying, "Don't worry. I know it's tightening." I have to admit, I see this Reuters story today. Pennsylvania is now considered a toss-up.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
It's swing state.
Swing state. Oh, well,
okay.
Well,
it's a swing state, not a toss-up. You're
okay,
right.
so
swing state. We were, and he's lost. This is a Quinnipiac poll, so that's a legitimate poll.
Yes.
He has gone from 12 points up to 4
points up.
He hemorrhaged 8 points since that no-show at the first debate.
Yeah, I did. Funny thing is, when Quinnipiac first started polling, it was funny to watch everyone try to pronounce the word.
That's true.
And coincidentally, I grew up 5 miles away from Quinnipiac. So it was funny watching.
Quinnipiac is a.
It's a college, yeah.
It's not a town. It's a college.
No, it's a college in Hamden, Connecticut.
Okay.
And I think it might be a university by now. It started as like a teaching college. It was a nursing school, and beautiful in the foothills of the Sleeping Giant, which is a little. It's not really a mountain, but it's bigger than a molehill, smaller than a mountain in Hamden.
And looks like a sleeping man.
Yes, and so if you're watching Keith Olbermann in Quinnipiac, and I just want to call it. No, it's Quinnipiac.
And you know what? And now everybody, trippingly off the tongue.
Yes, Quinnipiac.
Must be an Indian name.
Yes, yeah, like a lot of things in Connecticut. Yeah. Connecticut means long river, and
yeah. So what do you? I mean, this is bad, and not only that, Bob Casey could well lose to Mr. Tom, I was a coal miner. Do you know how he went from being a coal miner to the owner of a coal company? Because I was saying mining is not something where, I'm going to go in and I'm going to be a miner and then I'm going to own
work my way up.
Yeah, it's not the kind of place where you think of working your way up.
I don't know
how. So nobody knows the backstory.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody does.
I certainly don't.
Okay.
I tend to watch the, there are websites that are kind of, I don't know if conglomerate's the right word, but aggregates of different polling numbers. There's a poll tracker at Talking Points Memo. I check in at Nate Silver's 538.
Okay. Are you getting increasingly nervous?
I'm getting a little nervous, but not as much as I was last Wednesday. You wake up the day after the first so-called debate. You go, oh, man. But the if you look at 538, what he does is he's a statistician, who analyzes the numbers at various polls and polling companies and the what he knows about the criteria and the methodology, and then he weighs them against each other and comes up with a halfway decent, if unfocused, image. And so I think Pennsylvania is still in the certainly blue. If you take all of the poll numbers and set, and I think as the poll numbers get older, there's less and less of an influence on the current number. It's really very interesting. A humongous amount of data, and he's the Obama's taken a little bit of a beating, but he's still posting, I think, a 66% chance that Obama
I saw
will
that.
win.
I know. So you'd rather, I was saying to a friend more nervous than I last night, look, you'd rather be Obama right now than Romney. I don't care. I mean, the fact is, everybody who's really reading the numbers and understands numbers is saying, no, Obama's still, if you were placing a bet, you'd place that bet on Barack Obama.
It's a little less strong than it had been 2 weeks ago.
Quite a bit less, I would think.
Yeah, but it's a horse race.
So what do you think happened? I was just saying that my mother's come up with an idea that I think actually might be true. She said, think of what that poor man knows. He knows more than Romney or anybody else knows about how bad things really are. He's been beaten up for 4 years. He probably is sort of like, he's not only exhausted, but he's ambivalent maybe. What the hell do I want this for 4 more years? No one's going to come out looking good, even 4 years from now.
Yeah.
This is a disaster. And couldn't that create a kind of, ugh?
I don't know. I would tend to think someone who is ambitious enough to want to strive for the presidency might.
But he already got it.
But, I mean, the only point of having it is having it more. It's like good pizza.
Well, maybe part of him is saying,
could be.
That's bull.
I was guessing that might be a certain amount of. He was reading and believing the poll data a little too strong,
so that he didn't even have to show up.
It's like, I got this thing in the bag, but
Okay,
that was my guess.
Okay, I think that's probably a stronger.
Yeah.
But that shows exactly the kind of thing that Republicans often hate him for. Of course, they hate him for a million reasons, but the so-called,
mostly his DNA.
Yeah, exactly. But his arrogance.
Yes. Yeah, and it was so funny to watch the when Romney was interrupting. Oh, he was being forceful and he was being forceful and true to his convictions. But when Biden was interrupting, he's just being rude.
And when if Obama were to become aggressive, then he's an angry, threatening black man.
Yeah, because there was, oh my God, I remember a commercial. It may have been a radio commercial from the 2008 presidential. It was a woman's voice. It was distributed obviously in the South, and it was, he's just so disrespectful. And it was one of those kind of dog whistles. I don't know if
sure.
Those dog whistles to very traditional Southern voting bloc. When you're calling someone who's black, they're just so disrespectful.
Right. He didn't know his place.
He didn't know his place, which was yes sir, no sir.
Well,
can I clean your car?
Before you came on, I was saying, I mean, a white candidate doesn't get stuck. A woman candidate gets stuck in a box, and a black candidate gets stuck in a box. The white male does not get stuck in such a box where they have to have a certain demeanor. A woman can't appear to be too aggressive. On the other hand, she can't appear to be too femmy.
Yes.
And Obama, I said, there's a line somewhere between Stokely Carmichael and Stepin Fetchit, right? That he's got to find. Yeah. And anytime he deviates, they'll be on him.
And I think that may have been part of the. I think Potter said this when I checked in on the program when he was on. Part of the pre-debate
spin.
Strategy could have been kind of lean away from looking too angry, and he came up with I was too polite. Which may or may not be BS, but certainly think that Biden produced the goods.
He did
a little more,
but Obama. I mean, the adjectives lethargic. disinterested, had someplace to go. This made, who was it who was famously caught? Was it H.W. looking at his watch?
Yeah, it's looking at his watch.
It was as if Obama spent the entire 90 minutes looking at his watch, not just
or pulling out his iPhone and texting.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. It was brutal.
It's like, can I get some Chinese food delivered here?
Okay, so if you're doing a drinking game, what's your word for tonight's debate?
Actually, I don't know because I won't be able to watch.
Oh, you won't?
No, I have a rehearsal tonight. I'm in the trumpet section of the Pittsburgh Civic Orchestra. Another plug. So I'm the second trumpet.
You'll be blowing your own horn.
You got a rehearsal. We got a rehearsal in Carnegie, so I'll have to watch it. To watch it in reruns.
Okay.
So I hadn't thought of any sort of drinking game.
I don't need a word. I just drink through the whole thing.
And Ryan had his own drinking game in the vice presidential debate. He was just sucking down water.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
And the minute he sat down, before the debate even started, the first thing he did, they sat down and Ryan and everybody was still applauding. And first thing he did was, and I thought, ooh, that's good, because you could tell he was nervous and he probably had dry mouth, which can happen when you're nervous, certainly. I better take a break.
Okay.
My guest is David DeAngelo. He is half of two political junkies. Maria Lupinacci. I didn't know if it's Chi.
Yeah, Lupinacci. Two C's. Lupinacci. Maria
Lupinacci is the other half.
I'll tell you a funny Tony Norman story when we come back.
And Maria, I know, listens to the show quite a bit and sends me very helpful emails. So we're talking... and what do you talk to a political junkie about? Politics. We'll be back.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Saving energy saves you money. Whether you switch to Energy Star light bulbs, install Energy Star appliances, or add extra insulation. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Ooh, I got it. Ooh, you want to go to a movie? I'm telling you, there's a million great indies playing right now, courtesy of Real Q, which is the new name for the Pittsburgh International Lesbian and Gay Film Festival. I believe that was one of the first lesbian and gay film festivals. And they've just got some extraordinarily great movies, features, comedies, documentaries. They've got days where they just do shorts. Would that be boxers or briefs? That's not what we meant. And you are free to go. In fact, you're encouraged to go. The Harris Theater, downtown, Cultural District, right around the corner here, is where the viewings are. And this goes through Sunday. So be there or be square. Lots of opportunities to take in some culture. And if you want to know what exactly they got showing and when, well, why don't you check out their website? That would be a smart thing to do, realq.org. That's REEL, as in, get it? Movie, realq.org.
Pittsburgh City Paper's annual Halloween guide is available now. Pick up one today for the most comprehensive listings of Halloween events in Western PA, plus Radio Tokyo, Mary Poppins, and News of the Weird. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania, and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Okie doke.
Oh, I have a funny Tony story. Okay, we were actually sitting in. He was sitting in hosting your radio program.
Okay.
And so he had as guests Maria and I. This is years ago. And so before we went on live, he was practicing our names. My name he didn't really have any trouble with. He was, so it's David DeAngelo, David. And then he was going, okay, it's Maria Lupinacci. Maria goes, yes, Maria Lupinacci. Okay, Maria Lupinacci. And then we go on live, and he goes, hey, we got David DeAngelo here from Two Political Junkies, along with Maria Lupinacci.
Well, that is well.
And then we go, Tony, it's Lupinacci. Okay, then we would chat a little and go to a break, and he goes, okay, then he'd come back and go, hey, David DeAngelo, Maria Lupinacci. So he was.
I've been there.
Very funny.
I've been there. I've done it. You know who I did that with? Michael, and here again, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Chabon. The
author.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've never pronounced the name. I just see it Chabon.
Well, how do you think you pronounce that? Chabon.
I was always thinking Shaban. But
Shaban? Well, I don't
French.
think.
I don't know.
I don't think it's Shaban. And he had just put out The Mysteries of Pittsburgh, and he was on the show. He was so young. And handsome. And I kept saying, now, how do you pronounce your name again? And he would tell me. And every time I tried to say it, I said it wrong. I felt like I humiliated myself. Chabon, Shaban.
The author of Mystery of Pittsburgh. Just go there.
Oh, geez.
Mike. Yeah, my buddy Mike.
Yeah. So, I don't know. There's so many stories. What do you want to talk? What are the things? I know you're big on global.
I blogged this morning. There was a story out of the Daily Mail.
Climate change.
The Daily Mail has established. I'm waiting to see this out.
This is a UK publication.
Yeah, out of London. That global warming ended 16 years ago.
Oh,
and it made
that's a relief.
Yeah, it made it actually onto the Fox News, I think.
Oh, big shocker there.
Yeah, and I'm waiting to see it at the Trib. And this what they did was, whoever was writing at the Daily Mail saw some data at the Met Office, which is the UK's weather service, kind of like the NOAA rating.
Yeah.
And took the last, 16 years of data and kind of found that it kind of plateaued. So therefore, global warming stopped. It's done.
16 years.
16 years.
That's a reasonable time when we're talking about.
Yeah, and then it showed up on I think the various right-wing climate change denier websites, obviously Fox News, freerepublic.com.
Don't give them any stop.
Sorry. And I realized, as I was writing this, why the Trib can't actually go with this, because the way the article is said is that global warming stopped, but the Tribune Review, owned by Richard Mellonscape, they don't accept that it started at all. So they can't actually report on the story, because then they would have to say
it had started.
Yeah, because implicit in saying something stopped means that it started. And then it turns out, taking 16 years of data doesn't really, if you've got 150 years of data or, of temperature data. And I think it was just data from land-based stuff, but it didn't look at the data from the temperature from the oceans or anything like that. So sometimes it's just way too easy to write those blog posts.
So what do you make of this, the sort of obstinate denial of reality that and beyond global warming or climate change, excuse me, just with this, everybody can. Used to be, we all accepted that you can have your own opinion, but you can't have your own facts. We don't accept that anymore.
Well, in your opinion. I don't know. I mean, there are a couple things. I think John Dean wrote a book about conservative mind, something like that. That there are authoritative mindsets where there are people who tend to be conservative who believe what they believe, and even when you present them with the facts, they end up believing what they believe stronger. That it was very. Yeah, exactly. I kind of did that.
Well, no, but that makes sense actually in some ways, because if you're threatened in some way, you dig in.
Yeah.
Right. You dig in, so you double down.
Yeah, and it only increases your understanding of how big the conspiracy that you're fighting against.
Exactly. Wow.
And so it goes everywhere from the birth certificate to global warming to the recent employment numbers. That because they just happen to dip down below 8%,
right before the election.
Well, that has to show that the Chicago cronies who've been installed for years in the Bureau of Labor Statistics fix the numbers to help Obama for the election.
It's amazing. I mean, I was actually reading something on the bus coming down here today that was a science article about placebo effect going well beyond, so you take, somebody gives you a pill, they say it'll make you feel better, and lo and behold, you feel better. And this shows the unbelievable strength of the human mind to do whatever it has to do to keep you, whatever, being where you want to be or comfortable. And there are all these odd things like if you strike like a Superman pose for about 2-3 minutes. Believe it or not, there are biological changes.
Really?
Right? that make you just become stronger, tougher. If you
will it give me the little hair curl?
I don't know, maybe.
Because anything can help.
Mind. They said it's not mind over matter. It's mind over mind. Your mind is extraordinarily powerful. And so it does what it has to do. And I suppose if you have that kind of mindset where this has to be the reality I live in because I can't handle anything else. I can't handle a black man in the White House, so he's got to be a Kenyan Muslim.
He has to be somehow illegitimate.
That's right. That's right. And then
you collect the little snippets of information that support your already preconceived notion of things, and there's no amount of discourse, which is frustrating for me because as I'm blogging, I'm hoping to change people's minds.
You figure the only people who are reading you are people who generally agree with you.
Well, I actually no. I'm aiming towards people who haven't made up their minds yet on anything in particular or on whatever I'm writing, and so they haven't decided against it because people who are already fans of Jack Kelly and the Post-Gazette. They're not going to pay any attention to what I write, and if they do, they're not going to change their minds.
Right.
The people who already agree with whatever I write, and there's a local blogger guy named Ed Heath who's taken a lot of Jack stuff. The people who already agree, well, they already agree. It's the vast middle of, what does Jack have to say? Well, is he right? Is he wrong? Then looking in, they'll hopefully find what I've written, and it's the vast middle that I'm aiming towards of people who aren't convinced that Obama was installed in 1960 as a Manchurian Kenyan candidate.
Unbelievable.
Which is just
it's okay. So we have our time is up. We end. Both you did it at the same time I did. We both were like shaking our heads. This is the pose. Often you start talking about this stuff, you can't help it. Your head starts moving from side to side in disbelief.
The British have a phrase called gobsmacked.
That's right. That's our favorite word here.
Oh, okay. Because you've.
Gobsmacked is, that's right.
Yeah, the mouth is
your mouth is your. We actually looked it up.
I didn't have to look it up. I just want to say.
Okay, well, that's why he's here, because he's smart. And we hope you'll come back sometime. Okay. Thank you so much. This was fun.
Thank you.
David DeAngelo. Tomorrow, well, you got lots of hair compared to Potter, who will be sitting here tomorrow.
The funny thing, we were on Night Talk a couple weeks ago, and I wore a suit because I knew that because he has glasses, I have glasses.
Oh, you'd be mistaken for each other.
Yeah, he was on one side of the table, I was on the other. But as I'm watching, I'm going, damn, I look a lot like Potter.
Yeah.
I mean, if we did have voter ID, we would be.
You could trade IDs, you think? But you are more hirsute.
Yes, that's hairy for those people who aren't attached to thesaurus.com right now.
Okay, well, all right.
Yeah, I'm a little hairier than
Potter.
Than Potter is.
Okay. Hey, thanks.
Thank you.
Potter tomorrow. And pray tonight. We need a knockout. A knockout. Drink heavily. Hey.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.